my way to the printers. It's the day after, it's St. Sheila's Day. It's the day after St. Patrick's Day. It's St. Sheila's Day. And I'm going to collect the first box of books, of copies of Return to Segais, my new book. This is book number 7. It is my first hardback book. And it is a book that my heart and soul has been poured into, so I am excited and at the same time anxious to see it, just to see, you know, what it looks like, and to see the hardback with the imprinted, the debossed image and the hardback cover and the dust jacket and the creamy pages. It's very different to anything I've done before, pardon me, in terms of the production of it. And I am full of butterflies right now as I approach Anglo Printers here in Drogheda, my own hometown. They've done work for me before, and thank you. The lady let me in. She was going to cross the road. Do you know, it doesn't matter how many times you've been an author and how many books you've published, it's the same every time. The anticipation and the excitement gets you, and there's always that anxiety about how is it going to look, is it going to be all right, you know. So we shall find out shortly. Signs are everywhere. Help them. And here it is, the moment of truth. Don't block the lens, Anthony. Oh, well, that immediately looks beautiful. I love the sheen off it. Wow. I'm immediately liking that. So, oh, that looks beautiful. I really love the glossiness of the dust jacket. It's got a beautiful sheen off it. Feels good in the hand. The creamy paper. Oh yeah, that's lovely. And now for a look at the pièce de résistance. Sorry, forgive me while I take the dust jacket off. That is really beautiful. Look at that. Gold foil debossed, imprinted into the cover. This beautiful artwork of Bradán Fassa, the salmon of knowledge jumping out of the waters of Segais to eat the canoe, the hazelnut. Isn't that just beautiful? Look at that. That's just fabulous. I'm just pulling away from the printers here in Drogheda, and all I can say is that the book looks absolutely fabulous. Looks and feels wonderful. Yeah. I'm chuffed, absolutely thrilled. It's one of those things, you know, that, as I said on the way down, no matter how many times you've done it, you're always excited and anxious about seeing the book for the first time, you know, because you have a vision for it. And, you know, like, I looked after the design and the layout and the typesetting and all of that at home, and Sean designed the artwork. But when you send it off, although you know what it looks like on screen, you can only imagine what it's going to look like, you know, in physical reality. And that's one of the wonderful things. I'm sorry about all of the light. There's a crack across the selfie camera on the phone, but hopefully you can tolerate it. So, you know, you can only imagine it. I mean, I had been given a sample of the Wibble in the hardback case, as it were. I'd been shown a sample of what gold foil looks like debossed into that, you know. I knew what the layout of the inside of the book looked like because I was intimately involved in the process of designing it. But when it's printed on that book wove, that creamy non-coated paper, it has a very different look and feel. Like every other book that I've ever had published has been on white paper. So Return to Segais has a number of firsts. To be honest, it's the first book that I've published that I can't easily categorise as fiction or non-fiction. The first hardback book, the first, obviously because it's got a dust jacket, the first book with a dust jacket on it, the first one to be printed on creamy paper. And what other first? The first one to have gold foil on the cover, you know. I don't know if it's real gold. I suspect it isn't. Just in case you think there's extra value there, you know. But I signed the first copy that I made with the video that I had in my hand during the video, just for posterity, you know, just to have it for the future. And a wonderful thing, you know. I always sign the first copy. Like whenever I get a first copy of my books from Liffey Press, I always sign the first one and I keep it. I have the first copy of every book that I've published. First copy I've received anyway. So yeah. The other thing too is, and I know that well, I hope that fellow authors appreciate this viewpoint, and that is, when you invest so much of your time and energy, your heart and soul, your nights and your days into something, of course you're anxious about it, you know, being produced to a high standard. I began writing Return to Segais at Easter time 2018. I finished writing it, well, the first draft of course, around Imbolc 2019, February 2019. I spent quite a bit of time typesetting it because I had handwritten it. I spent quite a bit of time typesetting it and editing as I went and proofreading. I sent it to several beta readers who, there were 4 of those, who came back with suggested edits and changes, made all those. And over the past 6 months, I've been basically proofreading, reproofreading, editing. And I now realise something that I haven't perhaps done to this extent before, just how much that editing, proofreading and revision process is so important. Because although the first draft, you know, the first draft is the pure work, the first draft is what flows from your pen, it's what comes out of you onto paper, and that's precious in its own way. As an author, you can't be too precious about your work that you don't want to change it and improve it, and that is another very important part of the process. Like writing the book, in reality, some people think writing a book is about 90% of the job. It's not. Writing the book is about 60% of the job. Editing and proofreading is another 30%. 10% is the design and the typesetting, typography, for instance, and the smaller details. But 60% of it, I would say, is writing. 30% of it is editing and proofreading. It's so important. So important. And I know that even after all that, I will likely still at some point find, when I'm reading a section of it, I'll find, oh, I could have worded that better, or, the main things you look out for in the proofreading stage, apart from the obvious, spelling, make sure everything's spelled correctly. Make sure that you're, adhering to your style guide. So, for instance, Irish words are in italics in the book, but not Irish names, proper names. And that can be confusing. Even down to a couple of times I address the salmon of knowledge in the book. Oh, holy salmon, and that should be capital O. And I had a couple of lowercase O's. These were the last minute things that I was changing. The small details can make such a difference. Repetition is a big one. Using the same word in a sentence twice, or in a paragraph, or ending a paragraph with a word that's near the end of a paragraph and then it's near the beginning of the next paragraph. You have to change that. That looks clunky. It looks awkward. It looks like you haven't done your job properly, So the little things count for a lot. The other thing is I use a lot of commas. I use a lot more commas than probably a lot of modern newspaper style guides, would allow for. I like to punctuate sentences, and so I wasn't quite so fussy about those. I tried to get rid of some where they were clunky, but I tend to use a lot of commas. Parenthetical, I think, is how you might describe those. And now I'm going home, and the plan is over the next couple of days I have to send out copies to those who supported the GoFundMe campaign to get it published. Thank you very much for your support. Greatly appreciated. Couldn't have done it without you, actually. So all of the people who donated a certain amount get a free signed copy. I'll be looking to get their addresses off them now over the next couple of days. And I also will fulfill the pre-orders. So it's straight to work, no waiting around. And of course, I have to publicise the fact that I now have the book in my hands on social media to try and generate some sales for it. This is self-published, so it's all down to me to sell these books. I will try and get them into some bookshops, but there's no promise there. And the bookshops are all closed due to the pandemic anyway, so it's all order online at the moment. Anyway, that's the work that has to begin. But I have to be honest, I'm also itching to start a new work. I'm about 71,000 words into a book that I started last year that I want to get finished, because I'm kind of actually anxious to start another one. I want to handwrite another one like I did Return to Segais. It just feels like a very special way to do things. You feel more intimately involved with the process of creating it than sitting on a computer and tapping keys and due to magical processes of electronics and electrons flowing through circuit boards and binary zeros and ones, that your letters magically appear on a screen. It's different when you use a typewriter, which I'm using for the book I'm writing currently, or as with Return to Segais, you handwrite it. You're leaving a physical imprint of the actual work that you've done, not, binary code resting as electrons on a hard drive or a solid state drive on a computer somewhere, Anyway, I'm delighted. I'm relieved and delighted, and I just can't wait for this book to get into the hands of those who have supported it and who have pre-ordered it, because I know they will love it. I have just this deep down feeling that they will love it. It's a very special journey, a very special literary journey, a very special soul journey. Look at that light as I talk. So I hope that you enjoy it, and if you haven't done, maybe you might consider ordering a copy. They're available from my website. That's mythicalireland.com, www.mythicalireland.com. Just go to the gallery and shop, and in the shop section you'll see books. and you'll see Return to Segais. Get yourself a copy before they're all gone. I have to say that anyway. Thanks for watching.